Hey, everybody. Michelle here. I'm recording this kind of late. Um, it is November the 16th, and it's around 10:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And let me just, this might be a long video, it may not. Let me just share some things about um something that just came to me. No such things as coincidence, as I said. Um, but something has been just heavily in my thoughts, and I was trying to figure out, well, what it is. What is it? What is it? So I think I told you guys when I used to live in Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta, back in the day. It's been a while when I lived in Atlanta. And when I had decided to go to Atlanta, I thought Atlanta was going to be my dream place to be. I thought it was going to be the dream that I have always envisioned to be, because it was that type of city where they got all that excellence as far as colleges, the culture, the women, the I mean, I had planned for so long prior to going to Atlanta, when I decided to go to Atlanta, that was going to be the oasis, the tip of the iceberg of what I had always envisioned, living in such a city would bring to me. The women, the culture, because it was just so on for me. When I say on, I mean because I used to visit Atlanta when I was living in Florida area. I used to go to Atlanta almost every weekend or every other weekend. Every time there was an event going on, I was in Atlanta. I would get me a hotel room and go to all these events and this and that and the other. Um, Let me be real honest. If I hadn't been already, um, I wasn't very uh, respectful to a lot of women that I was meeting. And when I say not being respectful, I was lying myself. I was bragging myself. I was exaggerating and saying all kind of shit to people that I didn't really mean. You know, just so I can so I can sleep with people. And I didn't do a lot of that, to be honest. But I was playing people sometimes. I was saying things that I really didn't mean to say. If somebody said they loved me, I would say, okay, yeah, I love you too, and knowing that I didn't love them. You know, these are just things that I had to learn to develop in myself to become a more genuine person. Um, I lived in Atlanta. I think around I think it was 98 to 2001, 2002. Okay. And during that period of time, I was in complete darkness in my consciousness. And what does that mean? I was in complete darkness. Uh, I had no idea who I was, and what I wanted out of life. And so I was pretending a lot. I pretend a lot. I was pretending that I had all this confidence, pretending I had all of this and that and the other, when deep down inside I was dark. And not that you know, darkness is darkness. I mean, I don't want people to perceive that to be have a darkness is negative, because it is really not. It's not that at all. To have a darkness is sometimes it's just because a darkness can lead you just as much as a light can. You can have light and you can have darkness, and they both can lead you to where you need to be. And so that's where I was. When I was in Atlanta. I was in a darkness. Okay. And like I said, that's not negative or positive, in a emotional sense, because you need darkness and light. Okay. So while I was there, you know, I lied a lot to women. You know, I said things that I really didn't mean to say. I'm sure I probably heard quite a few of them. And, um, I'm starting to reflect and starting to remember because I remember a whole lot of things, especially from my childhood. But then there became a time because I couldn't express myself, my sexuality and my preference, that I must have developed, a completely different entity or a completely different persona. And that's what we do when we can't be exclusively who we think we are or who we want to be and who we think we are. Um, my sexuality was frowned upon, you know, and what bothered me so much is everybody thought I was just so pretty, so pretty, so pretty, and that and when that was being said to me, all it would do is bring men to um, my attention. Men kept bothering me, and I did not want to be involved with men at all. But I just couldn't get them away from me because I couldn't express to them, or they wouldn't accept the fact that I didn't want to be with them. And then you get these contradictions from people. Well, you're just too pretty. You're just too pretty. Once you find somebody that's going to sweep you off your feet, and this and that and the other, get married, have children. And I knew deep down inside that is not what I wanted out of life at all. So what I did is I had this fantasy in my life that if I moved to Atlanta, everything would be perfect for me. I would find the perfect woman. We could settle and do. It was just all these. It was a delusion. Let me just be honest. I probably was experiencing a lot of delusion during those times, prior to getting to Atlanta, because I had tried so hard, and that's why I don't like tried. Tried is a something that I try to avoid doing when I say I tried, because it's a contradiction. And I remember me and one of my my former girlfriends. We used to argue about that trying. I was against saying trying, and she was for it. And it's so funny. She had twins. She know who she is. She had twins, and she and we would go back and forth. Well, this is before I went to Atlanta. This particular girlfriend I had, we would go back and forth about trying. I did not want to hear. If someone said they were trying, I knew they weren't going to do shit. I knew it, all right? But she disagreed with me. And we always kept battling about that. And it's so weird that once her kids got a little older, she said she heard them having a conversation at the dinner table. And guess what they were talking about? Trying. They were twins. He was he was against trying, and her daughter was for trying. I was against trying. If someone said, "I'm Michelle, I'll try," I know damn well they weren't gonna do shit. I knew it, right? So I try to not say trying. I say attempt and whatever. So, but anyway, um, I did everything in my power to believe that if I had gone, because I was miserable prior to moving to Atlanta. I was miserable inside, and I kept thinking, man, if I could just go to somewhere where I can just be my damn self. I couldn't be myself where I was, in Central Florida in the beginning. I could not. I could not be myself. So I figured, because Atlanta was popping even back then to be, the place to be if you were a lesbian or gay or whatever the term they were using back then. So I did a lot of planning to get to Atlanta. A lot. I mean, good. Oh, I mean, I was being hired, in a government position, and they vet you to death. I'm sure they talked to the dogs and cats in my neighborhood to make sure I was qualified to be hired at that damn job, which was a nightmare as well. But anyway, it paid my bills. But let me just say this, and it's gonna make sense in a minute. Let me just say this. Uh, I do want to apologize to just one particular person. Um, I started having memories, and I don't know. I don't. I not making excuses, but when I say I was in a darkness, I think I lost a lot of memories of certain things that was happening when I was living in Atlanta. Because prior to going to Atlanta, things were happening, and I don't want to go into too much detail about that. But it was on the verge of a mental breakdown. Okay, let's just put it that way. Because even though I knew how I process things, I had to function. And so I managed to function at a very high level just to get through my life, just to keep myself from being committed. I'm being real honest about that. Okay. Um, so when I was functioning at this high level, I was stressing myself out tremendously, but I still had to do what I had to do. So, so when I got to Atlanta, Atlanta was a disaster. Okay. It was a disaster. Even though I pretended it wasn't, because I didn't want people to know I failed at it. Because I kept talking about it for years. Once I get to Atlanta, this. Once I get to Atlanta, that. I kept thinking that Atlanta was the place that was just going to bring me to where I needed to be, and it did not. It was a disaster. I was almost, carjacked several times. I was almost carjacked once. Other things almost happened to me when I was there. It was a very dangerous situation. Just put it that way. Very dangerous. I was not prepared for Atlanta. I was not prepared. Um, and it almost cost me my life by not being prepared because, I was meeting all these crazy people. This one particular person I want to apologize to, I'll get back to you in a moment. But I was meeting a lot of different types of people that were life-threatening to me. Okay, I think one was poisoning me. I'm being real honest. I can't prove it. But I think one was poisoning me. All of them were taking advantage of me, which I allowed to happen. I allowed that to happen. And I was meeting a lot of people. And I kept dismissing people for one reason or another. There was always something wrong with them. I was dismissing people left and right. Just like I was the shit or something. Just being so disrespectful and treating people very treating them disrespectfully and thinking I was the shit, that I was allowed to be treating people that way and lying to them. I was lying to them, some of them, and trying to be more than I was. And after so many, so I was there for a relatively short period of time, no more than 3 years, when like I said, I almost had a mental breakdown, to where I had to leave that government position that I had, which was a good paying job, paying my bills. And I had to get out of Atlanta. Otherwise, I don't think I would have lived, okay? Because there were just too many other series of events that happened. Okay, now, I'm not making any excuses. I just want to say to this person, oh, my goodness, I'm going to do everything in my power to remember what happened and why things turned out the way they did. Okay. I do recall during several periods of my life having memory problems. I'm just being honest, having some memory problems because I didn't recognize and understand what it meant to be a visionary person. You can lose that memory, and you know who you are. You can lose that memory, and And but things are coming back to me. Because I used to keep diaries, and I held on to them, and it just something dawned on me recently. Well, not recently, just within the last hour or so. Because I'm sitting here, laying in bed here, thinking, and I'm like, what in the world? And why am I so fixated on a certain thing, on a certain person? And then I started looking through my diary here. Let me see if I can find it. And it dawned on me that I may have hurt this person unintentionally. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't mean to hurt you. I really didn't mean to. But I can guarantee you I was going through a mental breakdown during that time, because for the majority of the time that I lived in Atlanta, I was having a mental breakdown. But I had to function. I had to pay my bills. I had to go to a certain level deeper within my deeper within my being to function, because I was not about to be homeless or even going back to my parents' house. Let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna say something here to this particular person, and I wish you would reach out to me, please. Let me know that you know what I'm talking about, and then we can decide what we want to do. Okay, and it's gonna be up to you. But I'm gonna be real honest with you. I was going through a mental breakdown during that time that I met you, and I want to apologize, but I want to talk to you as well. We need to talk. Okay, we need to talk, and we need to work out what happened. You need to remind me what I did to you, because I do have memory loss. I had memory loss because I was having a mental breakdown all the while when I was in Atlanta. Nobody knew that. Like I said, I had to become a highly functioning person just to get through everything that I was going through. But I just wanted to read some numbers to you, and you can tell me if this is familiar to you. I can't see, so let me get my glasses real quick. Stand by. Stand by, please. Okay, I'm going to read a series of numbers to you. And if they're familiar to you, would you please reach out to me and let's talk? And see, and you can remind me what happened? Okay. Let me just say 84271088. Okay. Again, 84271088. Now, if this person, recognize those numbers, they mean something to them. We need to talk. Okay, we need to talk, and you need to remind me what happened, so that we can clear this thing up and see what happens from there. Okay. Is this so, everything's so weird, and it's so weird. I mean, I'm coming to the group talking because I think you're listening to me. That's why I'm saying this. I think you're listening to me, and you remember certain things about what happened. When I was living in Atlanta, I was going through a breakdown. I'm being honest, a darkness, and I think I may have lost a lot of memory. Because of the stress and strain that I was under, and because I had to function. I had to keep a job. So anyway, other people, you guys can, you can ignore it if you want, or you can just, just take it as part of Michelle's journey, because this is what it is. It feels good to me that what I'm doing and how I'm talking, because I hope I can help people. I really do. I'm putting it out there, And I feel good about it. I don't feel, I don't have no regrets about anything I'm doing. I don't feel embarrassed. None of it. It feels good to me. And I want it to be, I want people to feel as though they can do that. They can just come on out and just be able to express themselves and not feel victimized. Admit that you made some mistakes. Admit that that I was just as much of a liar as much as I despise it, because I can't have a certain level of problems with people who lie when I've lied, and I wouldn't understand what it meant if I had not been a liar myself. Okay, so I hope this makes sense to the person that I'm attempting to reach out to. I wish you would reach out to me and talk. I know you're listening. Now I know you're listening, because it all makes sense. There's no such thing as coincidences, as you know. There's always a cause and effect, and you know, and I want to talk to you. So anyway, I'm going to say good night to everybody else. I'm going to listen to some music and kind of wind down. But I just know how my brain is, and this has been on my mind for a while, because, there's a series of events happening, and I'm thinking, whoa, wow, what in the world? And then I saw it, and I saw the name, and I'm like, okay. So I want you to reach out to me if you choose to. I know you're listening to me, and then let's see if we can talk. I'm opening myself to you. Okay, please allow me in. All right. To everybody else, peace and love. Love each other. Continue to support each other in any fashion, any way you feel comfortable in doing. And reach out to me anytime you like. I'm here. I'm going to be bouncing around in places, trying to, again, I'm still trying to decide the next phase of my life. And so I want it to be of substance and so much value that it leaves an imprint on this particular stage in the history. Because whatever happens is going to happen. But if somebody were to look back on history, they say, wow, this is what happened with Black lesbians, and how this and that and the other, and it caused a shift. It caused a shift. So anyway, I hope it makes sense to anybody. If not, that's okay. It's good. You don't have to, nothing, you don't have to understand everything coming out of my mouth, or anybody for that matter. You don't have to understand. I appreciate you guys listening and coming along this journey with me. Okay. Peace and love.